They laughed at me for years. Today they regret it. Story starts now. I wasn't always the quiet one. There was a time when I used to talk a lot, dream a lot, believe a lot. But school has a strange way of deciding who matters and who doesn't. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. And once people label you, that label sticks. For me, it started in 7th grade. I was skinny, awkward, and carried the same faded backpack every day. That year, my father lost his job, and my mother stitched clothes late into the night just to keep food on the table. Kids notice these things. At first it was small jokes, then whispers, then laughter. They called me the poor kid. They laughed at my shoes, my clothes, and eventually, my silence. Teachers noticed. They just chose not to interfere. That's when I learned something early in life. Silence feels safer than defending yourself. So I stopped talking. But I never stopped dreaming. Every day after school, while others played outside, I went home and sat at the old wooden desk in our living room. The desk was falling apart, one leg shorter than the others, the drawer jammed halfway. But it became my world. I read everything I could find. Old newspapers, abandoned textbooks, and library books nobody else wanted. While they laughed at me, I was building something they couldn't see. A future. Years passed. By 10th grade, the bullying had grown worse. One afternoon during lunch break, a group of boys grabbed my notebook and started reading a story I had written. I still remember how hot my face felt as they mocked every sentence. They laughed at the idea of me becoming a writer. They said someone like me couldn't even fix his own life, let alone change anyone else's. Then they threw my notebook into the trash. That day, something inside me didn't break. It hardened. I went home, washed the pages, dried them carefully, and rewrote the entire story by hand. Not because I believed it was great, but because I refused to let their laughter decide my ending. After school, most of them stayed in town, joining family businesses or settling into jobs through connections. I left with one suitcase and a scholarship to a small college in the city. The city didn't know my past. It didn't know the names they called me. It only knew what I did next. I worked during the day at a bookstore, stacking shelves and handling bills. At night, I wrote. Stories about invisible people. People who kept going even when no one noticed them. Rejections came quickly. Emails saying my work wasn't suitable, that it didn't fit their requirements, that I should try again later. Some nights I wondered if those boys back home were right. Maybe I was wasting time. Maybe I was meant to stay small. But then I'd remember my mother's tired hands from sewing, my father's quiet dinners when he thought we weren't watching. And I would write another page, then another. Years passed like that. One winter evening, I received an email from a publisher. I almost didn't open it. I expected another rejection. Instead, it said they wanted to publish my manuscript. I stared at the screen for a long time, convinced it had been sent to the wrong person. But it hadn't. My first book came out the following year. It didn't explode overnight, but slowly, quietly, people started reading it. Messages arrived from strangers saying they saw themselves in my story, saying it made them feel less alone. That mattered more than numbers ever could. Then something unexpected happened. A well-known online reviewer discovered the book. Within weeks, it went viral. Orders flooded in, interviews followed, invitations, awards. The boy who had once been mocked for writing was suddenly being called an inspiration. It felt unreal. But the moment that truly changed everything came later. I was invited to speak at a literary event in my hometown. The same town, the same school, the same hall where I once stood alone during assemblies. When I stepped onto that stage, I saw familiar faces in the audience. Older now, quieter, some pretending not to recognize me, some whispering. And in the third row sat the boys who once threw my notebook in the trash. For a moment, my heart raced like it used to. I thought about what I would say. I could embarrass them, expose them, remind everyone what they did. But when I began speaking, something else came out. I told the audience about a quiet boy who was laughed at. A boy who was told his dreams were foolish. A boy who almost believed it. And I explained how that laughter became fuel. How pain can turn into purpose if you refuse to let it define you. When I finished, the hall stood up. Applause echoed off the same walls that once heard my silence. After the event, people lined up to talk. Some wanted books signed. Some wanted photos. Then one of those boys approached me. He didn't look at me at first. He just said softly, "We were wrong." Years ago, I had imagined that moment differently. I imagined revenge, victory, a clever response. Instead, I just smiled. "Maybe," I said, "but without you, I might not have worked this hard." He looked surprised, then relieved. We shook hands, not as enemies, just as two people who had grown up. That night, I visited my parents' home. My mother still had her sewing machine. My father still sat in the same chair by the window. I handed them my latest book. My mother cried quietly. My father said nothing. He just placed his hand on my shoulder and squeezed it. That meant everything. Later, I sat again at the old wooden desk in our living room. It was still uneven, still scratched, still imperfect. But now it looked different, because I wasn't the same boy anymore. I realized something then. They didn't regret laughing at me because I became successful. They regretted it because they finally saw what they almost crushed. A person, a dream, a life that only needed time. And I understood something deeper. Success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. The end. Moral of the story? People may laugh at your dreams today, but consistency turns doubt into respect, and silence into victory.